What's going on, YouTube? This is your melanated warrior, Haywood Heinous, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts. It's a lot going on, and it's always, but this is the great reveal. The apocalypse, the root meaning of the word, the great reveal. And you're going to have to prepare for even more. We already know this. They're not going to let up. And I think what's so disconcerting about this whole process is people want Babylon to let up. They want to be a part of. They want to be a part of this realm. They want to be a part of the matrix, so bad. And I don't know if you guys, those who rock with me since the beginning, when they go back all the way to the videos that I did a little over a year ago. One of the titles I believe is, warring against the conscious community or something. I already expressed my feelings about the so-called conscious community. But this, everything is about timing. You got to understand that. They knew this would be the time that we would, people who were desperate for enlightenment would just start coming out of the woodworks. They would start fighting against the conventional framework. They would start abandoning those old thought processes which prevented them from achieving any upward mobility in any area of life activity. They knew that this would be the time. So remember, the first one to the mind is the winner. The psychological assault comes first. If you know anything about Sun Tzu and the art of war, you subdue your enemy here. That way you don't even have to go to war with them physically. And I'm about to bring out some very powerful points. And I know some people be like, man, this dude gets so hype, he yells, he screams. Because it seems like when I'm just sitting here giving you the information, from my experience, when you relay information to people, it's like if you lose your passion or if you're not passionate about it, people can't see the importance of it. They don't see how devastating it is if you fail to internalize this information, if you fail to see the meaning of it or get the meaning from it. When we take a look, because we're going to jump right into this, but I just want to say, I remember what I said in one of those other videos. I understand why it's so hard for our people to get behind anybody. Everybody's suspect, as well as everybody should be. But there are red flags. We know that. And when we see these people asking for millions of dollars or, to each his own, because you can't determine or dictate, how black people are going to spend their money. And we literally need everything that these people are talking about. But remember, like I said before, it's about timing. Now, what if during, the 60s when we seen with the rise of the Black Panthers in the mid to late 60s and one of the things that you have to ask yourself is, if they were asking for different things or promising things that didn't have real utility, not to say that it couldn't be useful, but how quickly can you set things in motion if you are to erect certain institutions? Okay, so when they raised money and when they got money, and we already went over who was funding them, so we don't have to go over that again. That's old news. But when they got their money, what if they didn't build hospitals? What if they didn't build schools? And it didn't take them decades to do it. You see, and remember what we talked about with the so-called Martin Luther King and Malcolm X? What if they quit because somebody said something about them? Or they were frustrated because their own people were turning against them and their own people were, making threats against them. What if they quit? See, we've already went over the fact that these individuals who want to be leaders, these individuals who want to be in the forefront of the liberation movement don't have the heart, don't have the willpower to be in that position to begin with. And they know it. They know it. We about to get deep today. We're about to get deep. I always come through. This is probably going to be one of the most important videos I've ever made. This, and y'all already know when let me, because the Most High running through me right now. Let me calm myself, because I'm gonna try to do this as civil as possible. But you're gonna have to feel me. Now, Before I get started in Haiti, just one quick thing. Our people are at war with each other, and we've been at war with each other for a very long time. It's nothing new under the sun. It's nothing new under the sun. And quickly before, I get off into it, I want to express this to our brothers and sisters and understand this, because I understand both sides of the argument. But remember, I'm on nobody's team. I'm not on team black man. I'm not on team black woman. I'm on team black people. And look, y'all the bench warmers, because my first team is Mother Earth. If we have no earth to live on, you have no black people. So this is one of the reasons as to why, as no one can manipulate me. No one can buy me out. Because first of all, I know that Babylon's money is worthless. You see, I understand and appreciate what has tremendous value, and it's this vessel. If anything were to happen in my vessel, if I was to get, and God forbid, if something traumatic was to happen, or, you needed a heart, you needed a lung, you needed a kidney, what you already have now, how much would they charge you for it? You wouldn't be able to afford it. And yet you have it now, and you don't take care of it because they devalue you. It's the same thing. We think that, see, everything that we have, we can honestly say, regardless of what platform or regardless of what ideological stance you take, black people have fought for it. There is nothing helping us along the way besides the Most High and the energy that's given from what the Most High has manifested through nature. There is nothing helping us along. There's no laws protecting us. Matter of fact, it's the complete opposite of that. The laws are working against us. Now, I want you to, show you two things. And I want you to, the one I don't have the article for right in front of me, but we're going to talk about it, and you can look up this, you can Google this, but one article I do, and this article led me to a video, because the video was in the link, all right? So we're going to look at this photo right quick. This was in Reuters, okay? The title is How the West Failed Afghanistan's Women and Girls. Okay? It was published, yesterday. And we're going to read a little bit of it, then we're going to go to the video. The return of the Taliban has left the women of Afghanistan in a state of limbo, with over 20 years of progress that could be snatched away overnight, as the Taliban decides just how modern their new ideology is in relation to the role women play in society. Professor Verinder Narain looks at the future of women under Taliban rule and what the West can do to protect this vulnerable group. See, they getting a whole empire, and they don't feel bad about it either. When black people say, okay, well, where's our protection? Which we already know why we don't have any. But the fact of the matter, when you get these, conservative Negroes, in mindset, not conservative just in terms of a political platform, but when you get these individuals who are in between, and they say, when they keep arguing about things that they know we're not going to receive because they don't know the true nature of ourselves. But even if we were to entertain that argument for a second, we would know that this is the reason why they're doing it. They come to the aid of everyone else. The reason why they're doing it is to show you that you're the problem. It's not the rest of the world. The rest of the world, yeah, we're going to let them go in chaos, but we're never going to allow you to stabilize yourself. Never going to allow you to stabilize yourself. Now, and look at the language. Look at the language. Let's take a look at the video. Before we get into it, 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107, allowances for fair use for purposes of commentary, criticism, education, scholarship, news reporting. But, overall here at the FOF Squad, waking your ass up. And we're just going to play a little bit of this video. We're not going to, play a lot because we got some reading to do. Okay? Just a little bit. All right?
Brutalized by the lack of human rights,
okay. So let's go.
Women are very fearful about what lies ahead for them, and we're very concerned ourselves about the safety and security of women. So for us, the main concern is the physical safety and security of women. They're already fearful, and many have stopped going to work. When they've been to school or university, they found that that's been closed, and they've not been able to leave the house without what's called the male guardian. So things are pretty scary, although the situation is very fluid at this time. We know that under the previous regime of the Taliban from 1990s.
See what I'm saying? They ain't even leaving. They can't even leave the house without their male guardian. No rights. You already see they always be covered down. This is the culture. So not to say that, our sisters, are not vulnerable in this, in this environment or in this world. But remember, when you have a patrilineal society where men rule over Mother Nature, this is what you get everywhere. That's why we say you have to think outside yourself for a second and understand that the way they rule is toxic in and of itself. So when we sit up and we see tragedies befall our communities, this is the end result of allowing a patrilineal society to go overboard. Now let's get right into the meat of what's going on. Because I told you I got a secret and I'm finna blow the doors off everything. So you got people sitting up here running around talking about, some don't know. Some take good guesses. Some will say, man, I wonder why is Haiti going through all of this? What is the problem? And I already told y'all. Remember, in that other video, I told y'all too as well when I had made comments about, the president of Haiti. People were like, well, yeah, he was bucking against the system and he wasn't aligning himself with Western interests. But I told y'all, don't pay attention to somebody just because they are against one thing. They have to be against all things in all areas of life activity. Okay? All those things in all areas of life activity. So just because somebody's against the shot, don't necessarily mean that they're against other things. Because Haiti was receiving a lot of money. We're going to get into that. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, we gave an example of Candace Owens. We know Candace Owens is against the shot, right? But she ain't aligned with everything, with us in every other area of life activity. So would she really make a good candidate for black folks? You see, that's how you got to think. We got to stop allowing individuals to get to these positions in life just because they're a one-trick pony, and that's it. Now, we're going to take a look at something right quick because you got to get your visualization on right quick. So I'm finna go to, we're finna look at Haiti right quick. We finna look at this and we finna solve this. And notice how when you look at things through chemistry, through physics, through the metaneta, then you understand exactly what's going on. Okay. Now, as you can see, now this is very important for you to realize this. Now you look at Hispaniola is what they called it, the so-called Christopher Columbus, which we know he really didn't even exist. But the fact of the matter is, look at the Dominican Republic. Look at the size of Haiti. So you got to think to yourself, this landmass right here lies on two fault lines. Okay, it's the second largest landmass in the West Indies, Cuba being the largest. All right, so we look at the size of Haiti. Haiti was ruled by the French. The Dominican Republic is ruled by the Spanish. So you got to ask yourself, with these two fault lines, one in the north, one in the south, how is it that even though the Dominican Republic experiences some seismic activity, how come they're always not as devastated as Haiti? I'm glad you asked. Now, let's continue to keep the one in the north. So basically you have two tectonic plates. One is the North American plate, okay, then you have the Caribbean plate, all right, and then the fault lines, the one in the north is called the septentrional fault line. Then you have one in the south, and that septentrional just means north. Then you have one in the south called Enriquillo Plantain Garden Fault. The Enriquillo Plantain Garden Fault. Now, do I just be giving y'all names just to be acting like I'm sounding smart? No, because that's what somebody else would do. Notice why did I give up to say that name? Enriquillo or Enrique. Enriquillo was Tiano Prince or King. Remember we talked about the Tianos and the Arawaks were the Indians that were in this land before Christopher Columbus came. And Enriquillo fought them. There is a history there. They celebrate this man. Why would they name that fault line after him? I'm telling you, remember how I talked about, and I showed y'all in previous videos when I had talked about the fact that these are rituals that the world is ruled by signs and symbols. Just like they football teams here and their college teams. You notice that they name them after historical events and people and stuff like that to relive these monumental historical events so that they continue to gain power. All right? That's what you need to understand. So they named that fault line after him. Okay? So that's critical for your understanding. So as you can see, that fault line, well, you can't see it from here, but just visualize that fault line runs right through Port-au-Prince and also the Dominican Republic. This is military precision, where you can have a 7.2 earthquake right there, and Dominican Republic is the larger landmass, a part of this island. Okay? And you think I'm reaching? You know Heru don't reach unless he can touch it. We're going to read some things. We're going to read some things right quick, just so that you guys understand that this is the reason why things are going on in that way. All right? This was from raregoldnuggets.com. Raregoldnuggets.com. And we're just going to do a little history right quick. Gold has likely been mined in Haiti by local villagers for thousands of years. Historic artifacts from the region show that gold was valued in the cultures here just like it was around the world. Used for art and jewelry, it was the arrival of the Spanish explorers to this region that brought a large interest in gold mining to the entire Caribbean region. As with so many other countries in the region, there are considerable precious metal resources in Haiti. The Spanish arrival in Haiti. In 1492, Christopher Columbus made a second landfall in the New World, arriving in present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. He would call the island Hispaniola and quickly set out to find riches to repay his debt to the Spanish monarchs who funded his expeditions. There was a large population of Taino and Arawak people who lived in the island, and they welcomed and befriended the Spanish. The Taino gave them the gifts of gold jewelry, so the Spanish thought that Hispaniola was the motherlode of gold that they were hoping to find. Now we're going to go down a little bit. Current gold mining in Haiti. Let's read. It was not until the 20th century that the mining industry began to prosper again in Haiti. In the 1970s, United Nations geologists documented significant pockets of gold and copper. But foreign investors were not willing to risk cash where instability had long discouraged outside investment. As one of the poorest nations in the Western Hemisphere, now pause, historically known for gold and copper, why are they poor? See, this is the reason why I'm telling you that. It's so insane when people say there's no such thing as racism. You have to understand that it bleeds into conceptual frameworks. See, these blackos talk all the time, I'm not racist, but then if you ask them about poor nations, they'll name these nations which have all the resources, but then they won't tell you why these nations are poor. Why are these nations poor, blancos? Is it because these people just don't know what to do with their own resources? Or they don't know their resources exist? Are they idiots or something? Or is it because you control their resources? Let's read on. After the catastrophic 2010 earthquake, investors were betting that the $10 billion in foreign assistance. So see what I'm saying? After 2010, after the earthquake, they got $10 billion in foreign assistance. Where'd the money go? Promise for earthquake recovery would force change and accountability. The eyes of the world will focus on the Haitian government and prevent mismanagement of the funds meant to benefit the poor and homeless in Haiti. Didn't work. Now this is when we're about to get into the secret. This is what I love to do, because remember, if you cannot understand what you have read, you cannot read. In 2012, geologists examined depth and strike reports and estimated a yield of at least 1 million ounces of gold at 2 sites. So you're not in there because you claim you don't want to go there because of all the instability and the corruption. But you're sitting up there evaluating the landmass. How did you find out there was all this gold and copper underneath the land? Because you was there. All right? They also believe that more than 1 million tons of copper lies in just one area under exploration. Modern mining methods can exploit deposits that were unknown or unprofitable to the early miners. Now, it says, when you go up, it says, the consequences of death this is where you got to feel me. I didn't even mean to interrupt myself, but 1,000 pardons, hey, Rue. This is when we're about to go into the secret. The consequences of death and destruction from violent earthquakes happen, but the cracks between those shifting, colliding plates may also form veins of gold, silver, and copper that are pushed up from the core of the planet. They manufacture these earthquakes because earthquakes make gold. So you don't believe Heru, huh? Let's go to the metaphysical. This is from physics.org. Printed March 17th, 2013. Physics.org, March 17th, 2013. March 17th, 2013. Striking gold. Earthquakes deposit precious metal. Okay? Solid gold can be deposited in Earth's crust almost instantaneously during earthquakes, said a study published in the journal Nature Geoscience on Sunday. Let's read. The gold is formed when a tremor splits open a fluid-filled cavity in the Earth's crust, causing a sudden drop in pressure, according to a team of Australian researchers. This in turn causes the fluid to expand rapidly and evaporate, and any gold particles that have been dissolved in it to precipitate almost immediately, said a Nature press release. Repeated. I was about to get hype. I got to stop because my people's so important to me, it don't make no sense, man. Repeated earthquakes could therefore lead to the buildup of economic grade gold deposits. Let's read this again. Repeated earthquakes could therefore lead to the buildup of economic grade gold deposits. This is why Haiti suffers so many manufactured earthquakes. See, you see how you got to dig deeper? Y'all think that and see how they're at the expense of these fools who running around here who was about themselves anyway, these narcissistic, arrogant individuals who you knew was going to contaminate the conscious waters and make it hard for people who genuinely love their people because they knew we were coming. They couldn't pay me none of their worthless money. See, even with the book that I gave out and I was trying to get to you guys, I'm trying to let you know if you read it carefully, it's some very eye-opening, transformative material and information inside there to help to galvanize the energy and spirit that is necessary to transcend and get you to a level where you understand that the first one to the mind is the winner. Y'all won't understand how much I love y'all. Remember when we were talking about how they always have to put it in their films and movies and things like that? It's an article I want to read to y'all. It came out of the New York Times because I know a lot of y'all familiar with the movie 2012. Remember, they invert. It's 2012 is actually 2021. New York Post. Scientist says reading of Mayan calendar predicts end of the world this week. Okay? Didn't happen this week, but you know, their calendars are off and we know this. Let's read. If you thought if you thought the beer virus, civil unrest, locusts, volcanic eruptions, and hurricanes signaled Armageddon, you may be right. The reading of the Mayan calendar was wrong, like they didn't know. According to a conspiracy theory on Twitter, all right, and while the world did end on December 21st, 2012, as originally prophesied by calendar readers, Mayan doomsday is sometime this week or next. Following the Julian calendar, we are technically in 2012. The number of days lost in a year due to the shift in the Gregorian calendar is 11 days. For 268 years using the Gregorian calendar, 1752 minus 2020 times 11 days equals 2,948 days. 2,948 days, 365 days per year, 8 years. Scientist Paolo Tagaloguen tweeted last week, according to The Sun, which the series of his tweets has since been deleted. So he made his calculations, but remember, you got to account for, other things like leap years and all of that different stuff. So even those things are, so what you're seeing now is you're seeing all these things take place this year. All right. So it's not far-fetched when a lot of people are sitting up here. But even if it wasn't that, we know that this is not, we got to also get out of our mind that these are natural occurrences. Because that's how we want to associate it. Oh, these are the end times and things are just going crazy. They're manufactured. And that is the secret of Haiti, and that is the secret of everything else that's going on right now. That is the secret of Haiti. That is the secret of Haiti. And so, like I'm telling you, it's the way that things are structured here is the same. Like, I'll pull up the article on the next segment because obviously, you know, I love to have my receipts ready and handy. But, you know, this article was published yesterday when it was talking about the amount of money that is being made off of the cannabis industry in New Jersey. Over $1 billion annually. And they talked about how out of all of that money, black people, you know what I'm saying, represent a very small percentage of the industry. We ain't making no money off of it. So even now that it's legal, we still in the dark. And this is what I'm saying to you, like, stop getting lost in you know, in sensational headlines too as well, which only do us a disservice as those who are trying to initiate the awaken process. Because we out here, we know what's going on. You know, and like when that video cut off, you know, as I was explaining how if we don't liberate ourselves, as Dr. Francis Quest Wilson and Dr. Neely Fuller talked about, in every area of life activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, sex, religion, and war, then we're doomed for failure. Because like I was telling you before, these black women act like, you know, the divestment community, they say, oh yeah, you know, I'm a divest, you know, don't be with no black man. But say for instance, every black man jumped in a spaceship right now and left to wherever, if space existed, and left, you would still have the Blanco woman and the Asian woman to compete with. But you already know how things are structured in Western society. You're still going to be the third rung on the ladder. And black men, if the black woman disappeared off this planet, who do you have left to compete with? You're still going to be on the bottom rungs of the ladder. We need each other. See, because one thing a smart individual knows is what? When you marry somebody, just like I heard, you know, and these women act like they happy. They know they're not. They need to act happy in front of you. These black women like, oh, I married a white dude. I married a Blanco and I'm happy with him. But you know why they're not? Even look at, remember with the, you know, the Alfonso, whatever his name is, one who played Carlton, you know, the Fresh Prince. And he talked about how he felt ostracized, not just from the black community, but also from Blancos. Why? He's married to a Blanco, but everybody's like, why? He's living a good life. Why does he feel like he's ostracized? Because he's not accepted from both. You see what I'm saying? He's alienated from both. And not to say that he can't come back with us, because we're still rock. Maybe if you made that comment, you was feeling some type of way. But you know why he was feeling some type of way? Because he tried to fully integrate into that lifestyle, and he realized that it's an impossibility. It's just the same when a black woman marries, you know, a Blanco man. What happens when you go to one of them family gatherings? It's not like you're going to be at a gathering with, you know, full of interracial couples, because you have to understand that when you marry someone, you marry their family. Let me say that again. When you marry someone, you marry their family. So now you might not be cool with black men, but guess what? When you go to those picnics, if you're invited and if you're welcomed, now you hear the little chatterings and snickers from the aunties and the cousins who got white husbands. Right? Blanco men. And they don't want their Blanco men to even have the idea of wanting to participate with fraternizing with people with the likes of you. You see what I'm saying? So eventually they feel alienated. And then, you know, within those walls, they're arguing with their husband, talking about how they feel like they're not accepted by his family. Leave that out. You forgot you was marrying his family? Black man, you forgot that you was marrying her family? This is why this is insane. This is why I said that what we do is we wait till it's too late, because we fail to realize the first one to the mind is the winner. We, you know, like, you know, the black women, married or single, you know, drop their kids off, excuse me, not kids, because our kids ain't goats, baby goats. They drop their children off to these schools where who's teaching them? Who's developing an intimate connection with them? The Blanco female. And then when she doesn't feel like you're raising your child right, who does she enforce? Come as an enforcer, her Blanco male. But then who works at DHS, the Department of Human Services? Ain't it the Blanco female? A woman who has trouble birthing out children is telling you what to do with your children. These are just facts. I care less if you're mad about it. But these are the secrets that are hidden in plain sight. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I said before, man, that we got to do a better job of research. I don't just sit up here and cram my head with knowledge unless I can, because, I know that all information connects. If I can't use it, if there's no utility in the information that I'm putting in here, then there's no reason for it to be in there. But you see how easily we solve this with alchemy, with nature, to show you exactly the reason why they're there and why Haiti is plagued with earthquakes. This is powerful. This is extremely powerful. Because see, what you fail to realize, everybody's sitting up here talking about the Blanco's weapons. Oh man, he got this, he got 5G. No, the greatest weapon that the Blanco has came up with is to weaponize Mother Earth. Did you just hear me? The greatest weapon that the Blanco has come up with is to weaponize Mother Earth. If I can't get you to think right now, stay off the channel. FOF Squad.